What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr Wargames, bringing you, without the glare, a test hand of the Igknight deck profile that I did yesterday. Now, there is something that I forgot to mention in the deck profile, which I'm going to mention now. In this day and age, in this meta, Maxi is a very, very good draw card in this deck. It can help bolster out your Igknight cards as well. So, because this deck likes to go second, and it wants to be drawing, it wants to be getting to its Denkos, Maxi is again another option. But the second you start adding Maxis in and more draw cards like that, the price of the deck starts to go up quite a bit. But anyway, I'm just going to be doing a couple of test hands. I'm going to be doing about 10 test hands to show you what this board can do. Now, obviously, I can't guarantee what my opponent's going to be able to react with, but when we get a Denko on board, you're probably 99% safe that whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So, yeah. Let's go with test hand number 1. 1, 2, 3, 6. That is perfect. That's one of the perfect hands because you literally just go Denko. Now they're either going to warn in you or that's it. They're locked out. You then go. You want your big beaters. So you'd go your Galleons. You pop those. You search out your Cavalier because again he's your second big beater. You then find your next big beater which is Crusader. So you put those in the scales. You pop those. You search out. This is the point where you can now go. So if you take your time and do the maths, depending again what your opponent's got on board. So far, when you pendulum these out, you've got a 16, a 24, and two 21s plus a 17 on board. Now, this is what you got in hand. So you need a 2 scale. Now you either put in another 2 scale. So let's go with the bigger beater. Let's go with a Cavalier. So you now bring that out. You've then got the option to either scale them, pop them, to add in the second scale, put those in there, and then you get out your 3 Cavaliers and you've got a bigger beat board. However, by doing that, you leave yourself open for any future mishaps. Whereas if you scale these, let's say we scale those, just to be on the safe side, pendulum your 4 out, so you pendulum out your 2 Galleon, your 1 Crusader, and your 1 Cavalier. Now again, this is on the very, very basis that your opponent doesn't have a big beat monster, but you've got your 6s there to overlay. So this is your board, they're your scales. You can pop them and find your second scale for that. So that would be a good advice, is unless your opponent's going to be able to take cards from your hand, because they can probably MST or Twin Twist or get rid of these during their turn, pop them, search out your second scale, and sit on that. So let's say my opponent's got a bigger beater because 24 isn't too good. You then have the option for Galleon overlay to either M7 or a Photon Bowser. Now obviously M7 is there to bounce in case it is a really big beater. If it's only like a 25, then you've got Bowser to beat over and protect. So let's go with M7 just for safety, bounce the big beater. Obviously if they have 2 big beaters then you're a little bit more of a trouble, but you just think about what you put in your scales. You'd probably think a bit more about going into XYZs, but either way, they're trapped a lot off, so they're not striking you, they're not quaking you, they're not anything you. So we go 27, 17, 24, 16. That is, what, 1, 2, 3, 4k, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4. So that's 8,400 damage. If they've only had 1 monster, you've bounced it, cleared it, game. If they've got more monsters, then yeah, they've probably got a little bit of life left in them. But either way, you've still done a hefty amount of damage in 1 turn. You've locked out their back row, and if they've set 5, if they're Paleozoics and they've set 5, they're in a bit of trouble. They're not doing anything. So that was it for your first test hand. Like I said, they do have some variations. They can be more XYZs based if needs be. So yeah, it's really dependent on how it is. But again, if you get rid of your scales as well, you've got a protected scales in hand, unless they're going to be playing Mind Crush or like hand destruction, stuff like that to get rid of that, then it's not going to be that big of an issue. So let's go again with test hand number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, perfect. Drop a Denko, they're either warning it, clearing it, doing whatever with it. You're in a better position as well because you've got your Phoenix, so that's going to give you a boost. It also lets you start popping your monsters. So if we go Summoner's Art and we're going to go with max power here now. So Cavalier, put that in the scale, pop it with Phoenix, search out another Cavalier, put that in your scale, Put your stronger ones, so Margrave in the scale, pop those. Search out your third and final Cavalier. Then if you scale those two, pendulum your 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You've now got the ability, you've now got 3 27 beaters on board, an 1800 and a 17. Now, if you want a bit of protection, your XYZ's options for this one will be, where are we? Druidol, but you've got no hand to reshuffle, so there's not really a point. Oh, hello. You've got Trias, so if they've got more monsters on board, you just battle, pop, pop, and then off you go. You've got Adreus to pop one if you need to, so it just destroys one face-up card your opponent controls. So again, with Denko, you haven't really got to worry about back row, depending on what your opponent's flipped on you. Now, yes, of course, in this build, if they flip an anti-spell on you, like they do with every Pendulum deck, you know, you're going to be in a bit of trouble. However, when it comes to game 2, that is where you're going to be putting your MSTs, Twin Twisters, Cyclones, all of that in, just to protect yourself. So, now let's do test hand number 3. Again, that was a very hefty board, very strong cards on there. You go into your XYZ, you still have the ability to pop cards and do more damage. So, again, by going second, I can't tell you what my opponent's going to have built up. They could brick, they could open up amazingly. So, it's really all ifs, buts and buttercups. So, let's go with test hand number 3. See how we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, again, another Denko, so very, very nice. Always, every single time you have a Denko, you're dropping it. Unless you're going to get MSTs, which we obviously don't main in the deck, then you're always going to drop your Denko. You've got your Terraform in there for a play, you've got a Painful Decision for a play, and you've got a Summoner Art for a play. So let's do all 3 of those. Let's get our strongest one from Painful Decision. So Painful Decision, we want Templar, sending a Templar to there. We're going to get a Cavalier off of our Summoner's Art, and Terraforming, we're going to get an Ignition Phoenix. Going to play the Phoenix, we're going to pop the Cavalier, going to search Cavalier. Going to scale Templar and Cavalier, pop the Templar and Cavalier, and search ourselves out. Where are we? Our third Cavalier. Oh, sorry guys. So we'll scale. Let's scale Veteran and Cavalier, pop the pair of those, and find ourselves a 2 scale. Scale those up, Pendulum out, Cavalier, Cavalier, Templar, Cavalier. Now again, you've got a 27, a 2K, 17, and 2 27s there. Again, you have the ability for a rank 5 should you want to, for a bit of protection, again, depending on what your opponent's board has. Now, let's go for test hand number 4. We'll try and do 10 like we always do. So let's do test hand number 4, see how long it takes, how far we get, and then we'll see how many test hands I do first as well, just so you guys can see the range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one's a little bit more interesting. Oh, 6. Well, a little bit more interesting. So, this is the question as well. Let's upstart. It needs to be a Denko for safety. No Denko for safety. Right, so now you're running the risk. This is where the risk comes in. Because obviously you'll go Summoner's Art, Summoner's Art, Summoner's Art. How the hell you open up with all 3, I'll never know. Let's get our triple. We'll go max power again. We're going for the beat out. Now we want to try and probably bait the back row without our Denko. So, see how it goes. Cavaliers, you're going to pop. Search out a Templar. Let's pop your Cavalier and Margraves. And search out. We've got 2 7, so I need a 2 scale. Let's search out a Crusader. Now, again, depending on what your opponent's got, I mean, you probably want to be dropping your Templar just so you've got a monster on board. Then you want your 7 and 2 scale, and then you're going to go, 1, 2, 3, 4. If they've got a warning, unfortunately, that's how the game goes. If they've got a strike again, unfortunately, that's how the game goes. There's no argument against in this deck putting some MSTs and Twin Twisters in. Obviously, your main kind of back row out is Denko. That is your MST Twin Twister kind of outs. Because the deck is designed, you want to be open up with as many Ignites as possible with that Denko in there. Now, again, actually, sorry, I did mess that one up. You could have popped your Scales if you wanted to. I believe it. Is it Scales? No, sorry. It's the Ignition Phoenix. So the field spell that can search you out your Ignite Reload in case you do need to reshuffle your hand. Anyway, so that was test stand number 4. First one without Denko. So you were more of a Razor's Edge on that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, Razor's Edge without a Denko. But isn't that what all Pendulum decks do? Summoners Art for a search. Painful Decision for a drop and go. So again, we want to be going full power. So you got your Cavaliers, your strongest card. We'll dump our Templar is your best under 5 level. So there's that. Then obviously you probably go Cavaliers to another Cavalier. So a lot of searching in this deck. So Mistake does hurt it. See Cavalier. Put maybe Cavalier and Templars. Pop those and search out. Let's go Protective. So we'll go Crusader. And now the best thing about this is you go Scales there. Pendulums. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from hand. Again, you're opening yourself up for a strike or a warning or whatnot, but you haven't used your normal summon, so should they strike this, you can probably still set yourself with a Paladin. Not the best way of going, but you do have that option of outs. So yeah, that's kind of how your board ends up, and that is a very, very big beat board, because you can attack with your Cavalier, use Kirin, bounce Cavalier because you've already attacked with it, or Templar, whichever one you need to get over a monster. Bounce it back, and then you've cleared another space on the board just to help push through. So they do have the ability to get quite a lot of strong monsters on board, which is very, very nice. So let's do test hands 6 and 7, and then 8, 9 and 10 will go first, so you can see how they can be defensive. Now there's a couple of ways that they can be defensive. They can leave their boards with big defenders on there, or you can go out there with more XYZ based protection. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now this is interesting. So, because when you activate Ignition, you cannot draw cards by card effects for the rest of the turn. So ideally you want your upstart. Didn't sort of helped you out. Let's do Painful Decision. Now, Ignite Reload will always be a gamble. So we've got, let's do Templar. And where are you, Templar? Templar to the Grave. Will always be a gamble because, yes, you could shuffle your entire hand back in, and that will leave you open. Or you can only shuffle in a select few. So, we're going to be wanting to search out our Cavalier anyway, and let's keep our Templar. So let's activate Ignite Reload. Shuffle those 3 back in. At least I've got Scales just in case of what I do draw into. And then I've got to draw 4 cards because Ignite Reload replaces itself. So. One, 2, 3, 4 Denko. Nope. Okay, so again, Razor's Edge. You're going to summon a monk into a Cavalier. You're probably going to... It's just going to be a repeat cycle. You're going to, Cavalier, Scales, pop, search, Cavalier. Cavalier, Templar, pop, search, scale, Scales, Pendulum out. 1, 2, 3. And then 4 of whatever else you search. Gone 5 if you need to. You still have your normal summon if you get hit with that strike or warning. Now, obviously, ways of making this deck a bit more consistent is you just up the draw power in the deck. But again, that's going to cost you a bit more money because the best draw cards in now day and age are going to cost. So let's do the final test hand going second, and then we'll do the final 3 test hands going first just so you can see how defensive this deck can be. Now, like I said before, the deck isn't designed to be that way. And obviously this test hand is without the Utopia Zexal or Utopic Zexal, for the pure fact that it's not legal in Europe and the UK mainly. So 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, Razor's Edge. So Phoenix, Pop, Cavalier. Actually, let's do it a bit differently. Let's do Phoenix, Pop, Cavalier. Let's go for our Ignite Reload, shall we? So let's, you know what, screw it. Let's shuffle all 4 back in there, so we're drawing a whole new hand of 5. If there's a Denko amongst that, happy days. But, you know, either way this test hand comes out with, you'll either see how lucky it can be or how unlucky it can be if I draw into 5 jank cards. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sucked, sort of. Terraform is not very useful right now because already got the Ignition Phoenix in there. You can probably pop a couple of scales, so pop those, go into your Cavalier. Put your Cavalier and Margrave in, pop those, go for a scale 2. Scale 2 with that one gets you that. Your second Margrave, Cavalier that you've searched, and then your Margrave. So you've got a rank 5 play, and then you've got a big of a beat board, as long as you don't get striked. So, that's just how kind of gambly it can be. Now, it's not the best in this day and age or this day and meta, but Ignites are certainly a cheap kind of engine that you can pick up relatively easy. If you're in America, by all means, make these Utopic Zexal build because it is very, very strong, as we saw in the top of one of the regionals. So, test hand number 7, and this time we're going to go first to see what defensive board we can set up. Rhoda. Just for a Paladin. Let's have a look what our rank 4s we have on offer. That's not really helpful. That's not really helpful. Bistwell is sort of helpful. Castell. So your best kind of play with the Ignites is probably just a hell of a lot of, you know, this is where you go for less of your Cavalier Gallants and more for your Squires, Paladins, and Margraves and Veterans. But again, you get hit with a Regeki, you know, Goodnight Irene, so you want to be quite careful with what you do put out there. So if we pop these, we're setting up for a second turn attack. So we'll put that in there. Let's pop those 2, because then you're more defensive. Let's get a Veteran. Let's put those in scale. Let's pendulum 1, 2, 3. So you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, but you do have 3 very good defending cards out there. A 25, a 2K, and a 22. So let's go with test hand number, that was 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we've got 4 hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, very, very standard with this deck. It's not hard to play. It's not, and I won't keep going around in circles for you guys because you kind of get the gist after a while, especially when we're doing 10 hands. But you know, you search out your Veterans. So you want to search out your more defensive card. You want to search out your Squire, again, more defensive, and then just build up your defensive board. But that's pretty much what they can do without the traps. You know, it's not going to be doing a hell of a lot more. It is literally hunt the Denko down, lock your opponent out. Well, actually, the Denko's quite nice going first. Then if you can get a Kieran on board as well, that's quite nice because you've got a bit of defense. So that's a nice little defensive board. Obviously, you've got your Ignite Reload if you wanted to shuffle those back in. But again, that's quite a nice defensive board because they can't set. But they can still obviously Regeki and stuff like that. It will keep your Kieran alive, and then your Kieran can have the bounce effect. So that's kind of it for the Ignite build. It's very repetitive, it's very simple, it's very straightforward, and it's very to the point. But it can do some damage. So, you know, I will be tweaking and messing around with it quite a bit just to see the other alternatives that I can make in this deck, and the other tweaks that might need doing. So again, it's more for you budget players out there. If you've already got some Denkos because you've had them lying around and you don't want to sell them, it really helps. You can take those out, like I said before, and go really, really budget. I reckon you could probably get this whole entire deck without Denkos. If you were to put MSTs in there or whatever, you can probably get the whole deck for like a tenner, not including your extra deck. But I mean, everything is common. You've got your Crusaders that are probably like £1. You've got your Templars that are probably £1. Everything else, some of the monks have been reprinted in so many structure decks, it's unreal. Take out Utopia the Lightning because for some reason it's stupid money at the moment. But again, Artifact, £1, 50p, £1, 50p, 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 10p, 50p. You probably pick up Strike Bowser for £1, about 50p or £1. Those are a bit more expensive but there are common ones and Starfoil ones, and then that was our Utopia Beyond, so which again isn't that expensive. So all in all, you could probably get the deck for about 10 to 15 quid, complete with an extra deck. So it's very, very cheap. Anyway, I hope this video kind of helped. I know it gets a bit repetitive as it goes on, but you kind of see like the consistency and how easy it is to do. And Denko just provides you that safe measure. So an MST or a Twin Twister will do you just as well. So, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Hit the notification button so you don't miss out on anything. And as always, guys, very happy dueling. If you like that video, why not check out our other videos available? We've got more deck profiles, pack openings, and of course, duels. And don't forget to click on the most important button of all, that subscribe button, right in the bottom left-hand corner.